What would it take to stockpile 1 million rounds of 22 long rifle? That's the question we're going to be answering today. How's it going, guys, and welcome to another episode of Coffee Talk. My name is Chad and this is the Hopeful Homestead. You're sitting out here right now in my tiny cabin on wheels with me here on our family's 21-acre homestead that we're calling the Hopeful Homestead. And in this series of videos, I like to think I'm talking to all the husbands and dads out there about all the difficult things in life we have to deal with. And today, once again, we're talking about firearms. We're talking about ammunition, actually. We're talking about something that I mentioned in a previous video I did about a month ago that stirred up quite a bit of a fuss in the comments. A lot of people thought I was ridiculous for saying that I had a goal of saving up and stockpiling 1 million rounds of 22 long rifle. They said I was ridiculous, and a lot of people were trying to point out the logistics of that being impossible. And so I thought, hey, I'll make a video breaking down exactly what it would take to be able to do that with current prices and projections of what reasonably it could be done with. That's good coffee, as always. Now, this is for the purpose of survival, purpose of being able to have basically unlimited ammunition at your disposal for the extended future of your entire life. Like I said, my family and I have bought this 21-acre piece of land here in South Florida that we're starting a homestead on. We're building a farmhouse and going to be living out here within the next year, hopefully. And one of our goals is for this to be something that we never move from. And this is going to be where we prep for the future, and also as a part of being homesteaders and being self-sufficient is prepping for hopefully never happening scenario where the world is coming to some sort of collapse, and you got to be able to supply food and protection for your family long term. And I broke down in a whole nother video talking about 22 long rifle. I'll link that up here, as well as 45 Colt, but specifically 22 long rifle, why I think that's the best ammunition, the best cartridge for long-term survival. Today, we're talking about exactly what it's going to take to be able to stockpile 1 million rounds in today's world. 22 long rifle is the cheapest and smallest type of cartridge you can get to be able to stockpile easily. It's the only type of ammunition that is even feasible in any sort of way to be able to do this with. Anything else is going to cost too much and take up too much space. And so getting down to the specifics here, what type of ammunition am I talking about? I'm specifically talking, and believe me, I'm not sponsored in any way. I have no affiliation with anyone, and I never will on this channel, so don't even go there. But I personally have always loved the Herter's ammunition from Bass Pro. It's really good value for what it is. This box is a 500 count box of 22 long rifle and 36 grain plated hollow point bullets. So it's not just like target ammunition. It's feasible, usable stuff for protection and for hunting and for whatever you're going to be using it for. And this is 500 rounds right here. Look at the size of this box. You're not fitting 500 rounds of 9mm or 223 certainly anywhere near this compact of a form factor. So that's one of the advantages. You could throw a box of 500 rounds in a backpack with a rifle and a pistol and be good to go. As far as a go bag scenario goes, that works really well. And part of what's great about this is that it's very cheap. It's the cheapest price I can find for this quantity of ammunition. Yes, you can find cheaper dollar counts for smaller amounts of ammunition, but as far as price per round, this breaks down. This is $35 for a box of 500 rounds from Bass Pro by Herter's, and that price of $35 for a box of this breaks down to about 7 cents a round. So if you do the math, that means that 1 million rounds will cost about $70,000. And I know, obviously, that's a lot of money. And depending on where you are in life, what kind of disposable income you have, all of those factors go into this. Yeah, if you're loaded rich, you could be like, maybe in like 6 months, I'll just spend $70,000 in a span of 6 months and have 1 million rounds of ammunition. More power to you if you can do that. But for me and my family, it's the situation where you view it sort of like a savings account, like an investment. If we plan $70,000 over the span of 5 to 10 years, maybe even longer if you wanted to stretch it out even further, but for me being in my late 30s, I like to know that at some point in my 40s, I will have this set up and stockpiled to a point where I can just have that as my stockpile going forward and feel comfortable with that. And so for me, 5 to 10 years, spreading that cost out, and just essentially every time you get your paycheck, just like you put a little money aside for savings, you're spending a little money on another few boxes of ammunition and you're throwing that into your stockpile. And over the span of 5 to 10 years, or however long you want to stretch it out, you could stockpile 1 million rounds of 22 long rifle. And that breaks down to about an average of, for me, 5 to 10 years of around 14,000 a year to 7,000 a year, depending on how much I'm willing to spend per year. So, at right around 10 grand a year or so, that's a lot of money. That is a lot of money. But it's something that if it's a priority of yours, you could do. You could stretch it over 20 years, and then you're spending only 5 or so grand a year. I mean, you can do that. So, you know, it's just about where your priorities are and what your goals are. And for me, I like the idea of having that much ammunition stored up for a true crap at the fan scenario. And then that goes on to another point I want to make, is that you are probably going to have, you know, you're not going to be doing this if you're living in a suburban house, you know, with limited resources in terms of where you can store this ammunition. This is only realistic if you live in a place where you have ample space to store ammunition. Because even though 22 long rifle is compact and can fit into a small box, a lot of rounds can, it's still, this is, you know, 2 of these boxes is 1,000 rounds, and you need 1,000 of those to save up 1,000,000 rounds. So that's still going to take up a lot of space, even though it's compact compared to other cartridges. And so for us, that means we're going to be building, as part of our homestead that we're building a huge 30 by 40 metal garage, detached garage building that's going to have a concrete slab. It's going to have air conditioning in it, and so it's going to be climate controlled, and we can section off a portion of that to be able to store ammunition. And so that's part of what my long-term plan is to be able to do. And that's something you'll have to do. You'll have to have a way of storing this ammunition in a climate controlled environment, so that over the span of years and years and potentially decades, you're not having the ammo sitting there through warm and humid months, letting moisture collect on all that ammunition. You don't want that to happen. So it's got to be in a climate controlled environment. So that's something to think about as well. And depending on your circumstance, if it's something where you're not going to have that kind of a space available to be able to do that with, maybe your goal is to save up 10,000 rounds of it. You could fit 10,000 rounds in a large closet in your house, you know, depending on what kind of home you live in and what kind of space you have. So, you know, adjust your goals based on what's reality for you, and that's totally fine. It's all about your priorities and all about what you're wanting to accomplish with this. In the end, yes, this would be difficult to do. Yes, this is somewhat unreasonable. I could be fine with only stockpiling, you know, 10,000 rounds, 50,000 rounds. You know, 100,000 rounds would still be a lot. And who knows, maybe I will change my mind as I go along and hit certain thresholds of ammunition and see how much space it's taking up, and you know, but at least for now, I like the idea of having a lofty goal like that I can save up towards and work towards. And there's no downside to having 1,000,000 rounds of 22 long rifle on hand. I mean, that's pretty nice. It's the kind of situation where you have so much ammo that you could regularly target practice and stay proficient with your firearms, instead of feeling like you have to protect what little bit of ammo you have and only use 1 round here and there for when you need to hunt to supply food for your family in a crap at the fan scenario. You know, it's nice knowing you can stay proficient and just spend the ammunition as you see fit, because 1,000,000 rounds is going to be pretty tough to run through over the course of your entire life. And it honestly allows you to have additional ammo for friends and family that you could be able to help out and lend them some ammunition. You know, I plan on having tons of 22 long rifle guns as well, that I can be able to, if I have, you know, a true crap at the fan situation, I could have some friends move in here to the property with us, some close friends, close family, and we can create a little commune, a little compound, and have plenty of ammo, plenty of firearms that everyone can contribute to the security of the property. So something to think about. That's part of my reasoning between wanting to help for wanting to save up 1,000,000 rounds of 22 long rifle. And I'm sure some of you are going to light me up in the comments about my opinions on this, and more power to you. That's fine. This is my goal, and it's what I'm sticking to, and I'm totally fine with that. Thanks for watching. Again, my name is Chad. This is the Hopeful Homestead. I appreciate you being here. Let me know what you thought in the comments, and hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Hit the like button, and I will see you in the next video. And if you do feel like sticking around, here's a link to that video I was telling you about why 22 long rifle as well as 45 Colt is the best cartridges for survival. So go click on that, and I'll see you over there in that video. Thanks, guys.